Howdy, y'all. It's Tuesday, March the 31st. I ran out of mushrooms to eat, so I decided to do another TV comedy video for y'all. And Mom gave me some exciting news over the weekend when she was here visiting. I don't think that's breaking any laws right now. I don't know. Maybe not around here. I thought this was America. But anyway, our plan for data, whatever, we're on a new plan for data now, so everyone's line has like 30 gigabytes of high-speed internet for the hotspot, so I might be able to upload this video very fast, which would be nice. I had 10 apparently, and now we have 30. Now every line has 30. So I might be able to upload more videos faster. Making videos on a more timely basis, that's still going to be an issue because I'm me. But at least when I do make them, hopefully, and maybe this one, if that kicked in, because I ran out for the month, but maybe I have 20 more gigabytes to use. I don't know. But we're going to find out when I turn on my hotspot here in a minute. Uh-oh. I'm losing my pile. I'm losing my pile. Gomer Pile. This is the ones we have for today. I'll put those to the bottom. Let's start at the bottom. Technically, I've already talked about that one. I told you I'd bring this back up. I did a special Jay and Silent Bob Esque-Universe collection when I did my film comedies. So now that I'm doing TV, we're revisiting Clerks, the animated series, which is ridiculous and a little bit risque sometimes, but a lot of fun. I enjoyed it, and I think it says never before seen episodes, so uncensored even. Well, but I remember this being crazy and fun, and you know, it's got all the like Kevin Smith and Jason Mewes and all the people who do the actual, you know, live action Jay and Silent Bob characters. Like Randall? Which one? One of them's Randall. I can't remember. But yeah, they're all in this, and they're all crazy, and it's fun. Speaking of crazy, the next thing we can bring up is Arrested Development, at least seasons 1 and 2. I don't remember for sure how many seasons of Arrested Development there was. I came into the game a little bit late, and I didn't even watch all of it at that point. It was still like, I didn't have a DVR. I might have still been living with Mom at the time. I don't know. So it was kind of one of those things, like, if I didn't catch it live, I didn't get a chance to see it, I feel like. But this is very... Oh, speaking of ridiculous, this show can be very ridiculous. Poor Jason Bateman and his ridiculous, crazy family. Brilliant and boisterously funny. I'll read the back of... I don't know if his dad's in jail for the whole thing, but in this critically acclaimed hit sitcom, you'll meet the suddenly penniless and equally clueless Bluth family. Accustomed to their wild, affluent lifestyle, they can't seem to grasp the fact that now the head of the family, Jeffrey Tambor, is in the slammer for shifty accounting practices. I'm sorry. Referee has apparently found the door boingy thing, whatever that's called. I'm sorry. It took me a minute to figure out what the fuck they were doing in there. And he's loving every minute of it, being in the slammer. Even worse, since the family assets have been frozen, they may actually have to go out and get jobs. The only one who understands the seriousness of their predicament is Michael, Jason Bateman, who realizes it's up to him to guide his eccentric family into this new chapter of their lives Chapter 11. This actually, the description of this actually reminds me of another show that I don't have on DVD, but I do love, Schitt's Creek. They are they're a rich family that one of their family members, their uncle or somebody is like their accountant or whatever, and then he like takes off with all of their money. So like all of their assets are gone except for the only thing they're allowed to keep is this town called Schitt's Creek that they bought as a joke. So then that's the only place they have to live, because they own this town. So they go and there's like a little motel there. So that, these rich people who are used to being from the city have to go and live with the regular common folk. And over the couple of seasons, I think it's on its final season now. It's 5 or 6, I can't remember how many seasons there have been. But of course, the family at first there's like, the family is kind of, they're still kind of stuck up and kind of, thinking they're better than everybody else and kind of blah 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 blah. But over the seasons they kind of soften and, they realize that these people aren't quite so bad and this way of life isn't quite so bad, So Schitt's Creek is also another one that sounds like this, with another crazy assortment of characters. Oh gosh. Moira. She's actually an old soap opera star. There's one episode where she gets her, she gets like the internet rumor that she's dead. And then, of course, she loves it because it's, it's like free publicity or whatever. It's like everyone thinks I'm dead. She's so excited. So both shows have, ridiculous fun characters. So this one I remember being a lot more ridiculous, I think, than Schitt's Creek can be. I remember there's this one, they're saying something about being a chicken, and then everybody starts making these random noises, and none of them are an actual chicken. I can't remember the sounds they were making. And then Jason Bateman's character, he's like, has anyone in this family ever seen a chicken? It's a good time. And there's also his brother one time. I can't remember how he gets into like leather, basically, and he goes into this leather shop, like like a sex porn fetish shop, and they're asking if they can help or whatever. He's like, oh no, I'm just bi-curious. And of course he means that he's there to purchase things, to buy things, but of course bi-curious means something else in the fetish shop. So there's a lot of good times to this show. Good times can be had with that one. Shall we break it up? We've done a couple comedies, so I'll whip this out. The Twilight Zone. Now, this is not the new one from Jordan Peele, and it's not the old one. It's the one in the middle. When was this? 2000 something? I don't know. I want to say it was on the CW. But like these are the people that are the guest stars in this. I enjoyed this series. I think it was on the CW. They had some good stories to this one. I've seen some of the old Twilight Zone. I haven't seen any of the new stuff. 'Cause isn't it on CBS All Access? I don't have CBS All Access, and I'm not paying for it. So, but this one, I want to say this one was in the 2000s somewhere. Obviously, because that's in between the old series and the new one. I can't remember exactly for sure which year it was, but it was sometime then. So this had a good collection of stories, and there was actually 1 hour, I think, where they had 2 half-hour stories, and then they brought back some characters from some of the original stories, and and like gave you an update on them. I think there was a boy who would like send people to the cornfield or something, so they gave an update on that character. I can't remember who the other one was, and I think they redid the episode with the lady with her face bandaged, you know. So there was a good mix of stories in this one. I enjoyed it personally. So, you know, little stories. It was Twilight Zone all the way. Now, I'll do this one first because it's one that more people might know or remember or recall, and it's Malcolm in the Middle, the first season. I actually got this. I didn't pay for this. I stole it. No. There was something I used to do. I don't remember if it was surveys or something online where you would get points, and I was able to get this with my points. It's just one of those things where Malcolm, Mr. Freddie Muniz there, is growing up, and, you know, once again, his family's kind of oddball, crazy, you know, kind of off the wall, and his mother's very, very strict and kind of crazy. She yells a lot. You know, so it's kind of about him and growing up and, you know, dealing with growing up in this crazy family. Kind of, I mean, you know, there's a lot of shows out there like that. But Malcolm in the Middle is definitely enjoyable. I don't think there's a whole lot of seasons on DVD that you can find, because I don't think they made a whole lot of seasons on DVD. I don't really know. I've never looked it up, but this is also a very fun series to watch. Let's see. I'm debating which one I want to do. We'll go with All American Girl, Margaret Cho. This was my introduction to Margaret Cho. Margaret Cho right there. Her grandmother is my favorite character on this show. I love the grandma on this show. She's just so much fun. But, you know, basically this was like one of the, because they talk about fresh off the boat, and, you know, they got to give props to All American Girl because it was one of the, it might have been the first time, does it say that? The groundbreaking comedy series inspired by the life of stand-up star Margaret Cho brought an Asian American family to a television series for the first time. So it was the first time. Originally broadcast in 94 to 95, the show featured Cho as one very westernized Margaret Kim, a San Francisco hipster delightfully at odds with her traditionally but screwy Korean family, and allowed viewers a comic glimpse of the culture clashes that constantly ensued. So I can't remember for sure how much of the culture exactly they talked about with this. I know they've definitely weaved that in a lot to Fresh Off the Boat. But I remember this was kind of a different thing at the time. And I might have known of Margaret Cho's stand-up before I watched this, which is why I was interested in watching it. And I enjoyed the series. But I guess there was only one season. Oh, it does say the complete series. So that's why I have this. And as you can see, I haven't opened it to reintroduce myself to it. But I definitely enjoyed the series. It was just comedy. It's a lot of fun. And another comedy, there's Off the Wall, Screwball, at least the first season. We'll get to that in a minute. The Loop, season 1. I can't think of that guy's name. But the thing with this show was, this is season 1. There was a season 2. There was a season 2. I didn't see much of season 2, but because the idea behind this series was he's a young executive, and but you know his friends, like that's his brother, I think, and of course his friends over here. So he has to struggle to like be a professional, but he also wants to be like, a young hip guy and whatever. So his friends try to like, get him to be a little bit more fun. And then of course he's like, no, I gotta be, of course. And then of course there's clashes between, doing his professional life and doing his fun, young 20-something kind of thing life. That was season 1. Season 2, I believe they got rid of both of these characters. They kept his brother. There's also, well, she's in here. She's a very deadpan character. Where'd she go? The Asian girl over here. I guess, she was the token Asian at the time. So they kept all of that. They focused more on, because it's one of those series that Fox should have just left alone, but they decided to screw with it. And it made it subpar. It kind of took away the, the idea of what the show was. And I think they tried to turn it into more like an office kind of comedy, like an office workplace kind of comedy, because, that was, I guess, what was popular at the time. So they showed him more like in the boardroom and that kind of stuff. I thought I was, I had to go Corona for a minute. Hold on. So they took what was a good show and they ruined it, really, basically. And that is a fucking shame. That is a fucking shame, because the first season of The Loop is hilarious, and I loved it. I loved it a lot. See, like, here's this where he partied a little too hard, and he ended up with this, I think that's permanent marker bikini. I can't remember what it says on his belly, but nerd something? Micro penis? I don't know. But yeah, so I think he was like in a boardroom or something, and that might have been like bleeding through his shirt. I can't remember exactly for sure, but this season 1 of The Loop, I don't know if season 2 is on DVD anywhere. You don't really need it. Season 1 is definitely where it's at. Definitely. Okay, so the last thing I have here is kind of a fun little thing that I picked up that I, once again, have never watched, and it's Star Trek Captain's Log. Each of the captains of their own ship, it's all, I'm playing with it because it's like raised up and stuff, and look, it's all shiny. It's all shiny and fun. And they pick their favorite episodes of their respective series, The fans and captains have spoken. Not only have Star Trek fans voted online for their all-time favorite captains episodes, but for the first time ever, each legendary captain, William Shatner, Patrick Stewart, Avery Brooks, Kate Mulgrew, and Scott Bakula, has also chosen his or her personal favorite episode, featuring an introduction. Prepare yourself for pulse-pounding action and unimaginable adventure with 5 courageous captains as they dare to boldly go where no one has gone before. In case you're curious, the Star Trek, the original series, Captain's pick was The City on the Edge of Forever, and fans' picks was The Enterprise Incident and Balance of Terror. Star Trek The Next Generation, Captain's pick was In Theory, fans' picks Chain of Command Parts 1 and 2, and also Darmok. Deep Space Nine, Captain's pick was Far Beyond the Stars, and the fan picks were What You Leave Behind, Parts 1 and 2, and In the Pale Moonlight. Star Trek Voyager, Captain's pick was Counterpoint, and the fans' picks were The Omega Directive and Flashback. Star Trek Enterprise, Judgment, the Captain's pick was Judgment, and fans' picks These Are the Voyages and First Flight. So, if you watched Star Trek, you might know what those are. I've heard of The City on the Edge of Forever. I couldn't tell you which episode it actually was. I've kind of been in and out of Star Trek. As a teen, when A Next Generation was on the air, I was trying to get into something other than comic books, I guess. Add another nerdy thing to my repertoire, whatever. So Deep Space Nine might have been on at the same time too, but Next Generation definitely was. I kind of started to try to get into Star Trek, and I did a little bit, but I don't know. It just wasn't. It's a little too serious, I guess. The Orville is a lot of fun because it's like Star Trek but with jokes, And these shows were always kind of very, very serious, So it was kind of. I tried to get into it, and it was fun. It was interesting, but I guess it just didn't quite didn't quite hold my attention as much as I thought it would. But so Star Trek is kind of one of those things that I've kind of been in and out of. I've watched the new the J.J. Abrams movies, and I've enjoyed those. So I've, kind of been, like I said, in and out of Star Trek. But I definitely thought this was an interesting thing to see what the captains, themselves would pick, and the fans' picks for this. So you might know, like I said, if you're more of a Trekkie or a Trekker, I don't know the difference myself. There is apparently, but they could probably tell you. Because I watched the documentary Trekkers, I think is what it is, or Trekkies, Trekkers, Trekkies, something like that. And they have a whole part in there in that where they discuss the difference between a Trekkie and a Trekker, but I don't remember which one's which. But I definitely thought this was kind of an interesting little collection to have, to add to my collection, which I did, and there it is. So that is all I have for today. I don't have noodles sitting. I ate some fish before, so hopefully it's all in my teeth, and you've been seeing it this entire time, because that would be enjoyable for you. Would it not? But yes, I'm gonna see if I have extra bandwidth or high-speed internet on my doodly daddy, and I will see you for what I see ya.